Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good evening and welcome to Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now the headlines. Senate approves 2.18 trillion naira supplementary budget. German minister announces complete ban on Hamas activities. Zambian former president stripped of retirement benefits. My name is OPEYEMI ONI. The Senate has passed the 2.18 trillion naira 2023 supplementary appropriation bill forwarded to it for consideration by President Bola Tinubu, as requested by Tinubu in the letter read in the Senate during plenary on Tuesday. The request was given expeditious consideration. The Red Chamber expressly approved the budget on Thursday after the Chairman Senate Committee of Appropriations, Solomon Adiola, laid the report at the chamber. It will be recalled that the Committee on Appropriations on Wednesday interfaced with the ministers heading the agencies captured in the supplementary budget. The ministers include the Minister of Works, David Umai, the Minister of Housing, Ahmed Dingiwa, and Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, the Minister of State for Defense, Honorable Bello Matawale, as well as service chiefs. Outside Nigeria, Germany has announced that it will ban the activities of Hamas, already a designated terrorist organization in the country. The German's Interior Minister, Nancy Faeser, announced this on Thursday in a statement. According to Faeser, the ban includes a pro-Palestinian group, Samidun. The statement added that Samidun's German wing will also be disbanded. Faeser said the international network works under the guise of a solidarity group for prisoners to spread anti-Israel and anti-Semitic propaganda. Gaza has witnessed fierce fighting overnight in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, a more than 15-year high in 2023. The crisis has snowballed into a new war in response to Gaza-based militant group Hamas unleashing terror on Israel on October 7th. Timitope Ajijola Lua Ola has the details.
The Israeli military said it's killed dozens of Hamas fighters, having earlier said its troops had broken through the group's defense lines. U.S. President Joe Biden called for a humanitarian pause during a campaign rally after a woman interrupted him mid-speech, demanding a ceasefire in Gaza.
We've all seen the devastating images from Gaza. Palestinian children crying out for lost parents, parents reasoning and writing their children's names on their hands and legs to be identified. If the worst happens, it's okay. Kids are allowed to do that with me. Okay? Don't worry about it, all right?
The Rafah border crossing until today had only been opened to allow humanitarian aid for Palestinians into Gaza. Some people who went to the Rafah crossing yesterday were unaware that if their names were not on the list, they would not be allowed to enter Egypt. Leaving Gaza is critical, especially for those who need medical care, as hospitals are running out of supplies and fighting continues. More than 400 foreign passport holders and injured Palestinians have been allowed to leave Gaza for the first time in more than 3 weeks, with British and U.S. citizens among them. Yoni Asher says hell is the only way to describe how he feels whenever he sees a 5-second TikTok video of his wife Doron and their 2 young daughters held hostage by Hamas, saying children need to be off limits.
I want to remember the sound of their voice, the smell of their hair, but it's hard. I know that I have to be strong for them. I can't look at a video of them, not even one. I know that many videos were published by us, me and my family and friends who are helping me. I didn't watch single one.
Yoni's wife and daughters were among hostages taken from southern Israel near the border with Gaza last 7 October. The sisters are believed to be among the youngest of the captives. Pope Francis has said that a 2-state solution is the wise way to solve the conflict. Francis said there had to be two well-defined states, with Jerusalem given special status. He further said an escalation of the violence would mean the end of so many things and so many lives. Francis said he spoke every day by phone to priests and nuns running a parish in Gaza, where 560 people were taking shelter, mostly Christians and some Muslims. The son of a doctor trapped in Gaza is still desperately hoping that his father will be evacuated. His father, Abdul Qadir, is a transplant surgeon in Liverpool who has done kidney transplants in Gaza for the past 10 years, working with a charity run by the World Health Organization. He arrived in Gaza on 6 October, the day before the Hamas attack on Israel, and has been stuck there ever since. And despite rising hope that he might leave for Egypt via the Rafah crossing on Thursday, after being placed on a list, it did not happen. It was quite difficult, Hamid said. Israel's military has confirmed that one more of its soldiers had been killed in fighting in northern Gaza. This brings the number of Israeli soldiers killed since ground operations in Gaza were expanded last Friday to 17. Thai officials say they have talked directly with Hamas to secure the release of their nationals who were taken hostage by Hamas. The head of the Thai negotiation mission, former MP Arifin Otarazan, said he met with Hamas representatives in Tehran on 26 October, where he received assurances that the Thai hostages will be released at the right time. The IDF said Hamas fired anti-tank missiles, detonated explosives, and hurled grenades at Israeli forces. Meanwhile, the IDF said it responded with artillery fire, tank fire, an aerial strike from a helicopter, and a missile strike from a Navy boat. The IDF also reported a ground encounter between its troops and Hamas. Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant says the Israeli military has dropped more than 10,000 munitions on Gaza City alone since the start of the current conflict and is progressing towards its goal of eliminating Hamas. More than 20,000 wounded people are still trapped in the Gaza Strip, according to Doctors Without Borders. Egyptian officials said 335 foreigners or dual nationals, plus 76 seriously wounded and sick people, were brought across the Rafah crossing for medical treatment on Wednesday. A news agency reported that ambulances were seen taking wounded evacuees to Egyptian field hospitals. Temitope Achijola Oluwaola, Western Spring Television News.
In Africa, Zambia's government has withdrawn retirement benefits and privileges from former President Edgar Lungu following his decision to return to active politics. Mr. Lungu lost the presidency to Hakainde Hichilema in 2012. After he announced his retirement, after 6 years in office, he left the country facing serious economic issues as Africa's most indebted nation. His return to politics sets the stage for a keenly contested 2026 presidential race. The former president has already been notified about the immediate withdrawal of his retirement benefits and privileges. According to government spokesman Cornelius Wetua, he said it was clearly stated in the law that former presidents who returned to politics will lose their benefits. As a retired president, Mr. Lungu was entitled to 3 security officers, a diplomatic passport, 3 state cars, a furnished house, medical insurance, and funeral expenses on his death. He also enjoyed immunity from prosecution. Mr. Lungu is aiming to capitalize on growing satisfaction with the continued economic hardships in the country under his successor. While announcing his political comeback last year, Mr. Lungu said he was returning to fight for and defend democracy in the country. He also pledged to save his factionalized ex-ruling Patriotic Front Party from collapse. The government has earlier threatened to deregister the party over leadership wrangles. In another development, Uganda said on Thursday it has captured the head of a militia squad blamed for the murder of 2 honeymooning foreign tourists and their local guide in a national park last month. The army said he was the only survivor of a nighttime military operation on Tuesday against a unit of the feared Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, that killed 6 other fighters. It will be recalled that a Briton and a South African were murdered along with their guide in an attack on October 17th while on safari in Queen Elizabeth National Park. Uganda blamed the ADF, an armed militia based in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo that is affiliated with the Islamic State IS group. The IS group later claimed responsibility for the attack, saying it had killed 3 Christian terrorists. Uganda's deputy military spokesman, Dio Akiki, told journalists that unit commander, identified only Njovu as Njovu, had been injured in the back during a gun battle on Tuesday. Akiki said Njovu was found with some of the belongings of the murdered terrorist and the Ugandan Guard's identity card. Major General Dick Olum, who oversees Uganda's military operations against the ADF in the DRC, said another 6 members of a squad were shot dead in Tuesday's operation. In the United States, a vote to expel Republican lawmaker George Santos from the U.S. House of Representatives failed on Wednesday when fewer than 2/3 of the chamber supported the resolution, with 7 Republicans narrowed 221 to 212 majority. The 35-year-old New York lawmaker has pleaded not guilty to charges accusing him of crimes including laundering funds to pay for his personal expenses, illegally receiving unemployment benefits, and charging donors credit cards without their consent. It will be recalled that the former treasurer for Santos's campaign pleaded guilty on October 5th to a conspiracy charge for inflating fundraising numbers. Republican lawmakers from Santos State of New York said last month that they would introduce a resolution to expel Santos, but the move was delayed by weeks when the House was leaderless following the ouster of Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Republicans on October 25th elected Mike Johnson, who has said he did not support expelling Santos. Expulsion of a lawmaker requires a vote by 2/3 of a chamber. Only 5 people have been expelled from the House in the country's history, 3 for fighting against the U.S. government in the Civil War. You're watching Spring Global on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Hilas Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of 2 foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sport news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
You're welcome back on Spring Global on Western Spring Television. And now to the rest of his stories. Moving to Europe, storm Ciarán smashed into northwestern Europe on Thursday with strong winds and driving rain, killing one person in France and one in Spain as schools, airports, and trains halted service. A truck driver was killed by a falling tree northeast of Paris, and 1.2 million French households were left without electricity. Authorities in Brittany urged people to stay at home and avoid winds which were hitting 207 kilometers per hour, leading to reports of 20-meter waves off the coast. Emergency services said a woman was killed when a tree fell on her in central Madrid, while 3 people were injured. France's Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin told reporters that in addition to the death of a truck driver, 15 people, including 7 firefighters, had been injured. He also said one person was seriously injured in the northern French town of Roubaix. Storm Ciarán, which follows on the heels of Storm Babette 2 weeks ago, was driven by a powerful jet stream that swept in from the Atlantic, unleashing heavy rain and furious winds that have already caused heavy flooding in Northern Ireland and parts of Britain. In Asia, national flags flew at half-mast across China on Thursday as the country puts its former premier, Li Keqiang, to rest. Li, whose body was moved to Beijing from Shanghai, where he had died of a heart attack on the 27th of October, was cremated. Pictures show crowds gathered along the streets as a convoy said to be carrying his body drove past. Muted state coverage of his funeral stands in contrast to the outpouring of sorrow among ordinary Chinese. 68-year-old Li was once tipped to be China's future leader, but was overtaken and then swiftly sidelined by Xi Jinping, who has centralized power in his own hands during his more than 10 years at the helm. State news agency Xinhua issued a statement on Thursday afternoon accompanied by a picture of Mr. Xi offering condolences to Li's widow, Cheng Ong. Li's funeral was held at the Baboshan Revolutionary Cemetery, where his body lay on a bed of flowers and was covered by the Communist Party's flag. Mr. Xi and his wife, Peng Liyuan, were in attendance, along with new Premier Li Keqiang and other members of a Politburo Standing Committee, which makes up the top rung of a party leadership. Across the country, Li's sudden death prompted tributes, showing warm praise and grief. While some analysts say Li's track record as an administrator was uneven, they believe people are mourning as much for the man as the loss of what China could have been under his leadership. British International Investment, BII, the UK's development finance institution, has committed $26.5 million to FX, Africa's leading commodities platform. This substantial investment, FX revealed in a statement, aims to fuel structural enhancements within Africa's agricultural sector. The collaboration between BII and FX was formalized on Monday in a signing ceremony attended by notable figures, including the British Deputy High Commissioner in Lagos, John Braxton, BII Chief Executive Officer Nick O'Donnell, and FX Group CEO Ayodeji Balogun. FX currently operating more than 200 warehouses across Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda, and catering to over 450,000 farmers, stands to witness transformative changes. The infusion of funds is anticipated to greatly benefit smallholder farmers, foster increased food security, and pave the way for sustainable agricultural growth in the region. According to the statement, BII's investment will be used to build 20 modern warehouses in strategic locations, Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda. It's added that BII's capital will also be used to develop a soybean processing plant in Ibadan and a drying facility in Uganda, among other things. Now talking sports, 50 days after his failed doping test came to light, Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba is heading towards a sporting trial in Italy that could carry a 2-year ban from football. According to reports, the 30-year-old Frenchman is still suspended as a precaution after the outcomes of his doping test in late August and subsequent counter-analyses, both of which tested positive for endogenous steroid, the DHEA, which can help boost natural production of testosterone. Pogba could be at risk of being under the 4-year ban, but this seems unlikely, relying on both no plea deal and the judge's belief that he consciously consumed the banned substance. The anti-doping code allows for a less severe penalty should the accused admit their responsibility, which is why a 2-year ban seems more likely. The Frenchman had requested a single hearing at the Court of Arbitration for Sport in Lausanne, but this was rejected after the World Anti-Doping Agency refused to give the green light. As such, the Juventus midfielder is on the path to trial. It's been almost a month since the result of the Frenchman's counter-analysis have come to light. The anti-doping prosecutors are still completing the investigation, and Pogba could be referred within the next 10 days. From then on, he has 20 days to choose between an agreement or a trial. Pogba is unable to train with the Juventus squad at Coutinho, so is training at home with his personal trainer using the gym and the swimming pool. Before we end Spring Global, here's a recap of our top stories. The Senate has passed the 2.18 trillion naira 2023 supplementary appropriation bill forwarded to it for consideration by President Bola Tinubu. Germany has announced it will ban the activities of Hamas, already a designated terrorist organization in the country. Zambia's government has withdrawn retirement benefits and privileges from former President Edgar Lungu following its decision to return to active politics. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. I am OPEYEMI ONI. Thanks for watching.